Independent film is alive in Bushwick. I'm very excited to announce that the 7th annual Bushwick Film Festival is almost here. The 4-day festival weekend is scheduled for October 2nd to the 5th and will take place in my absolute favorite neighborhood in New York, a place I call home, the artist and cultural utopia of Brooklyn. You guessed it, Bushwick. What's up, New York? Thank you for joining me once again on Indie Film Talk at Brooklyn Independent Media. I'm your host, Kwebe, founder and director of the Bushwick Film Festival. On October 2nd, you can come on over to Bushwick and watch independent films, attend panels, catch a Cinema Talk series, spend the day at our new Media Interactive presented by NYU Polytechnic, and party with us at the opening night party at Lot 45 presented by Hotel BPM. Since I know you just can't wait till October, we've decided to bring you another sneak preview of what to expect at this year's Bushwick Film Festival. But first, big thank you to our sponsors, Slate Property Group, Hotel BPM, NYU Polytechnic School of Engineering, Brooklyn Fireproof, Brooklyn Desk, Village Voice, Rooftop Films, Sebastian Printing, FilmBot, Pearl Social and Billy Club, Montana's Trail House, World Own, Bushwick Daily, and Brooklyn Cooperative. And shout out to our venues, Radio Bushwick, Lot 45, Montana's Trail House, and Light Space Studios. And our partners, Brick and the Indie Film Clinic at Cardozo Law School. On today's show, we have a small sample of our panels, workshops, 5x5 talks, and even a member of our jury. So please join me in welcoming Rachel Miller,
coordinator of scripted programming.
Scripted programming. Sorry, can you go back?
You can keep going.
Okay. Please join me in welcoming Rachel Miller, coordinator of scripted programming at the Tribeca Film Institute. Rachel, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Kwebe. Thanks for having me.
Erica Anderson, director of crowdfunding and community at Seed and Spark. Erica, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Kwebe.
Max Friend, the creator of the newly launched app. Thank you. FilmBot.
Hi.
Max, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Vivian Njoku from Filmmakers Without Borders. She will be on our Conscious Filmmaking panel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, my pleasure.
And we have Ali Migluri, coordinator at Film Fatales.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Let's start with Erica. Erica, you will be teaching crowdfunding, how to build an audience at the festival this weekend on October 2nd to the 5th. Can you tell us a little bit about the class and Seed and Spark?
Sure. So the class is called Crowdfunding to Build Your Audience, and the title really explains what it is we're trying to focus on. At Seed and Spark, which we're a crowdfunding and distribution platform built specifically for film, and we view crowdfunding a little bit differently than some of the other platforms. Crowdfunding is this very unique tool that we believe filmmakers can use to directly engage with their audience. And it's my belief that, and our belief of the company, that really the only way to have true independence is to have that direct relationship with your audience. So the course is based around these ideas that we've come up with over the last 2 years working with our filmmakers. We're a really curated site for crowdfunding as well as streaming, and this course was developed to really help people not only raise their funds, but to build that audience and engage that audience a little bit further, or a lot further, hopefully. So really the primary, or the beginning of the course, is focusing on who your audience really is and trying to get filmmakers away from this idea that somebody else knows that better than they do, but really that they're in this unique position to not only identify their audience, but to go after them. So that this course really helps people kind of on a step-by-step journey to really see how identifying your audience really trickles down to what music you put in your pitch video, where you engage with that audience, what social media platforms, what news organizations, what partner organizations, for instance, would be really helpful to them. And then things like what incentives they should offer during their crowdfunding campaign if they're actually thinking about their audience as real people who have specific wants and desires.
Wow, that's definitely a good class to have. I wish I would have taken that class before I did my fundraising campaign.
Well, it's really exciting because we have a 71% success rate on the platform already, but anyone who's taken the course thus far has a 100% success rate, not only of raising the funds that they want to raise, but of engaging an audience further and wider than they are started with.
That's incredible. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Seed and Spark.
Sure. So it's crowdfunding and distribution for film, and we're the only platform in the business that's like that. We have a 71% success rate, and that's sort of the numbers, the nitty-gritty. But really, what our big, hairy, audacious goal is to create an ecosystem for filmmakers where they actually make a living wage, and where audiences have a direct connection with their content creators. So that's why we created it.
That's incredible. Yeah, I heard about Seed and Spark, I think about a year or two ago. How long have you guys been a business?
We launched December 1st, 2012, so just about 2 years.
All right.
And it's been a pretty wild ride ever since.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So now that we're talking about servicing filmmakers, I'm going to go over to Vivian, who is with Filmmakers Without Borders. And when I first found out about Filmmakers Without Borders, I literally fell over. I could not understand how you guys were actually sending filmmakers internationally to help underserved students and fully funding it. Tell us a little bit about the organization.
Sure. Filmmakers Without Borders, it's a 501c3 nonprofit, and exactly as you described, we send filmmakers/educators abroad to various countries in the developing world and connect them with a host organization that's already there on the ground and that's doing educational work. And then we partner with that organization and we sort of insert our program into what they're currently doing. And so the overall aim is to give students who wouldn't necessarily have the opportunity to tell their stories, give them that chance, to give them the tools, the digital tools to work with filmmaking and to work with a host of other online platforms and host of other materials. And it's really exciting that we have so much support, and it's really exciting that we just finished our first round of Kickstarter fundraising that's funding us for the first year, and we have some filmmakers/educators already out in the field.
That's amazing. And what countries are you guys working with right now?
Okay, so currently we have partnerships with Honduras and Nepal and Cambodia and Thailand, India, Bhutan, and I feel like I'm leaving one out, but let's say that's it for now.
And you recently just came back from Honduras, right?
I did.
Tell us about that experience and what were you doing there?
Sure. And I remember the two countries, Kenya and Sierra Leone. Unfortunately, Sierra Leone, we're waiting until the heat, dies down over the Ebola crisis. But back to Honduras, I was there recently. I was able to go there this summer, and sort of in my capacity as Director of Cultural Sustainability, I was able to spend time with the host organization. Their name is the Honduras Child Alliance, and figure out how they engage with the community already. The town is called El Porvenir in Honduras. It's a really beautiful, quiet beach town, and I kind of shadowed what they're already doing and got to meet some of the students, and then most importantly, go door to door and really connect with families. I was able to also do a community meeting to engage families and students with what the work will actually look like when we're there. So it was really a lot of fun, and I feel like it was just the tip of the iceberg, in terms of seeing the possibilities of the work and seeing the possibilities that a new tool can bring to a young person's life. Everyone has a creative spirit, everyone has a need to express themselves in some way, shape, or form, and tying that into what's already happening in the community and people's existing cultural traditions is really important to us as well.
Yeah, so if you want to hear more about Filmmakers Without Borders, they will be on our Conscious Filmmaking panel. And speaking of panels, we are going to have a Tribeca Film Institute panel. And Rachel, are you actually going to be on the panel or
Yes,
members?
I'll be on the
Okay,
panel.
so yeah, Rachel will be on our panel, and she's also the feature narrative jury member. So Rachel, can you tell us a little bit about the Institute and your role there and what you guys what programs are available to filmmakers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are the nonprofit affiliate of the Tribeca Film Festival, which means that we operate year-round, as opposed to just during the time of the festival. Some people confuse us with them, so it's important to make that distinction. And we offer grants and support to filmmakers year-round, and we also have a variety of educational programs. Actually, Vivian used to work with our education department. Right now, we have 4 grants open for filmmakers to apply. We have Tribeca All Access, we have the TFI Documentary Fund, we have the TFI New Media Fund, and we have the TFI Sloan Filmmaker Fund. And I won't go into the details of how you can qualify because they're all particular, but you can visit our website.
And you can
to
come
get
to the
that info.
panel.
And you can also come to the panel. Yeah, actually people should, because people from different departments are going to be on the panel, so they'll be able to tell you all that you need to know.
Cool. And what are a few things that filmmakers should be thinking about when they are submitting to these programs? Like, what's the distinguishing factor between the 4?
Yeah, this is a good question, but it's always really tough.
Yeah.
But for right now, we opened September 5th and we closed November 5th. So if you get your application in now, you have a much better chance of being singled out, because we receive all our applications at the end of the cycle, like around November 5th, and people are asking for extensions. So the sooner you get your application in, the more likely you are to stand out. But also, you know, having an accurate, clean application, I think, is overlooked by some people, you know. We can really tell if it's last minute, and it's important, you know, to have all of your team members listed, to have, you know, a clear idea of the tone and the concept of your film. So, yeah, there's a lot more.
Yeah.
Come to the panel and find out.
What about chocolate, flowers, and plane tickets? Does that work?
No. No.
Damn it.
Yes, but no. Yeah. No on the record, yes off the record.
Well, one thing about you being a jury member, what are you looking for the best feature film in the mass of all the 5 feature films that you're watching?
Yeah, this is also such a tough question, but the best is when you come across a film that surprises you, not just because, I mean, you know, people are retelling the same old love stories and all those beautiful things, but when it's that old story that has a new look and feel, and it's something you haven't seen before, you get really excited. And when I read a script or when I see a film that feels right, like when it feels really good, I actually get goosebumps. So if when I see your film I actually get goosebumps, that'll be really fun.
All right, goosebumps.
It's kind of cliche, but.
No, I feel you. Yeah. Max, my co-host. Max, you are the creator of FilmBot. Tell us what that is.
Sure. So about a handful of years ago, kind of quietly, we began the mission of trying to create a next generation app for moviegoers. And so finally, that is now live in the App Store for moviegoers in New York City. And what it allows you to do is save and keep track of the movies that you want to see. It allows you to much more easily see all of the theaters and showtimes that are currently playing a film. It allows you to sync that information with friends so that you can immediately look at a movie and see which friends of yours have reviewed it, what they thought about it, who still wants to see it. And ultimately, if you don't end up seeing that movie in the theater, we'll let you know when and where it's available on Netflix, iTunes, Amazon, Hulu, Vudu, all the VOD providers of your choice. So we're kind of, you know, connecting the dots of the movie-going experience in a way that hasn't really been done before. So very excited about it.
Yeah, I am too, actually. I really like the part where you know that your friend also wants to see the film.
Yeah.
So you can like look up a film and then text your friend like, oh, you know,
Definitely,
let's go see this film together.
Yeah, especially because, you know, we really focused on a mobile platform first. And so what that means is that when you see which friends of yours want to see the movie too, you can immediately call or text them through the app, which is really fun. So that whole process is kind of baked into your mobile phone in a way that you couldn't really do, you know, a few years ago. So we're really excited about it. Another thing that's fun too is that you can adjust how much you trust each one of your friends' film taste. and that's totally private. That's the 99% of the time the first question we get is, can my friends see that? And our answer is always no, that's for your eyes only. And what that means is that every time your friends score a movie, we generate a FilmBot score for you that's based on scores your friends have given the film who've already seen it, weighted by how much you trust their film taste, right?
Okay.
So what that means is that you might have friends you trust who love the film, and you might have friends you trust who hated the film, and for you the FilmBot score will be positive, and for you might be negative because you might really enjoy it and you might not. And so it's kind of the first kind of dynamic scoring system that reflects that we all have different tastes in film, and one score doesn't fit everyone. So that's going to be fun as well to kind of see how people play around with that. Yeah. And
what are some of the things you're going to be talking about at the 5x10 talks?
Sure. I think one of the things, definitely, it being a festival and us being, very excited to be there and kind of embrace this kind of celebration of film on the ground level in your community. One of the things that we're going to talk about is that a lot of the special screening content that falls through the cracks in other, movie-going platforms like festivals, sneak preview, Q&A, outdoor, retro, all that sort of stuff is going to bubble up on the FilmBot platform as well and kind of let you know about it. So that's something we're excited about. We'll also be evening the playing field between independent and mainstream films so that filmmakers can let moviegoers know that their films are coming out months in advance so you can see them, and so that filmmakers can more easily get back in touch and kind of close the loop with moviegoers when their films are actually coming out, get them excited about it beforehand, but also let them know, hey, it's out either in theater or on VOD or on your own website. So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of reconnect with that moviegoer when you give them the ability and give them the sort of power to save their films. So we're excited about that too.
Wow, that's pretty exciting also for film festivals because like you just said, when I was at when I went to Berlin this past winter, a lot of the audience members there were very frustrated because they would see a film at the festival and then not know when it would be back into theaters or not know where they could go see it. They would wait a year or two, So it's really cool to know that there's an app out there that you can follow a film, Yeah,
it's really like a continuum, your kind of experience of watching a movie. And previously they've been in all of these different silos, so we've just kind of always seen it as connecting the dots of that experience, so I'm excited about it.
Well, thank you for creating that app for us.
Sure, yeah, happy to share it.
We are going to go over to Allie. Allie, you are a member of Femme Fatale.
Yes, so I'm actually the coordinator of it, and Leah and I are kind of the dual partners. She founded it and it's brain, but I've been lucky enough to come on and really see it grow hand in hand with her, and it's grown a lot. I don't know if would you like me to talk more about what it is?
I mean, I love Femme Fatale. You guys are one of my heroes, basically. There's a quote that you have on your website that is a group of filmmakers who make each other's dreams come true. I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, and that's kind of that is in essence its mission statement. It started with Leah about 2 years ago was in kind of the finishing stages of her film, I Believe in Unicorns, which that's how I actually met her, was through that film. I was an associate producer on it. And so she was trying to figure out, where to go next with it. And rather than picking all these women's brains in coffee shops, she's like, I should bring them all together. And so it's not just, it's indie filmmaking, but then it's even a smaller subset, which is female independent filmmakers, which is, not too rare in New York, but at the same time, it's a really rare community to be had. And that's really where it started, and now it's blossomed. We had 3 gatherings yesterday just in New York. We had 1 in LA yesterday, in Detroit, New Orleans. We're starting in Sydney, we're starting in London. The new ones kind of really prospered after the Filmmaker magazine article that Danielle Lurie, who's also a member, wrote. But it started with a simple idea of just bringing women together in a small community and over food and wine and talking about problems. Not even necessarily talking about the art of filmmaking or, oh, come see my film, oh, come see mine. It's no, let's talk about, problems with just finding a day job and also being an independent filmmaker. Or last night's topic was do we feel as filmmakers we have a responsibility to convey hope in our films? So it really, it's a broad reaching kind of discussion But at the end of the day, what that fosters is a really incredible community who are kind of bound to each other in a very real way, not just this artificial, like, let's all go to this happy hour and talk and like schmooze. So, and then there's also within that, you know, one, like, and the positive aspect of that from like a career standpoint is that there are shared resources. We do have Fatales programming, you know. Leah's on the panel here, but we also have a panel at Bushwick Film Festival, but we also have a panel coming up Woodstock. We just had one at Munich. Sydney, you know, she was on a panel. So it's really wonderful, and it's growing, which is really kind of awesome to be kind of sitting there and watching it happen.
Yeah, I'm excited to eventually become a member as soon as I finish a feature film, right? That's the
and there's actually, well, now there's a short film group starting in New York as well. So holler at us on our website, Film Fatales NYC.
Are you a part of the short film group?
No, I'm actually, so I actually did just do my own short, which along that vein is very much in part due to the wonderful Fatales Collective. I just did a short this summer starring Gina Piersanti, who is in Eliza Hittman, who's a Fatales member. It Felt Like Love. And so I got connected to her through it. And Altagracia Guzman, who is from Raising Victor Vargas, also in Saida Clark, who's another Fatales, one of her films. So I got all these wonderful cast members and was able to make a really fantastic little film. But no, I'm not in the shorts group because I'm too busy coordinating all the other groups. I'm not the one chatting. I'm not the one chatting, trust me.
It's interesting that you said that, you know, in my process of programming the festival, I did find it difficult to find women filmmakers that submitted. Like at the end of programming and we locked our films, I looked back at who our directors were, and they were like 75% men, and I was just like, oh my God, how did that happen? I had no idea, you know, especially since I'm a woman and I'm a programmer. I wanted to have more female filmmakers, but they just weren't submitting.
Yeah, and it's two things. One, it's, you know, doc versus narrative world. It's a lot easier as a female to make a doc film, mostly from a funding aspect, and like you can just kind of go and do it, and so like, so we have a lot of really fantastic doc filmmakers in Fatales, and inherently, you know, the narrative world, it's a bit harder to permeate, especially in regards to just like being like pushing yourself forward. And so that's kind of been the really great thing about Film Fatales is that now we actually have like a curated list within the group, and that gets sent out. And it's also just like telling people like, yeah, go and fight for yourself. Like, don't be afraid to be proactive. Don't be afraid to email a festival and be like, hey, like, might you be interested in giving me a fee waiver? Like, you can say that, and people give it to you, and people don't always realize that. So it's all about it's about empowerment more than anything, and knowing that there's other people who are also rallying for you.
Yeah. Speaking of fee waivers, I've gotten a lot of those emails, and I'm like, okay, fine.
But that's exactly it.
But Rachel, do you have a problem? Not a problem. Do you find problem?
Rachel, what's your problem?
Rachel, what is your problem? Now, do you guys also run into that problem with some people that submit to your funds? Do you find that there's more men that submit to your funds than women?
Well, part of the way our funds are designed is to support those statistically underrepresented filmmakers. So part of the qualifications that I mentioned you should visit on our website. For Tribeca All Access, we support only women and people of color in the director, writer, and now this year producer role. So you only qualify for that if you self-identify as having those criteria. For the documentary fund, that's not the case. Anyone can apply. And I'm actually not sure what the statistics are for the documentary fund. But yeah, I'm sure it's a similar story. But I mean, part of our role in this world is to support the people that are underrepresented. So.
And Erica, do you have numbers in terms of who takes your classes, or the percentage rate that you said was a success? Are they more men that are successful than females, or how does that work?
We actually have more women.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if that's part due to the fact that we're founded by a female team as a company. But it's kind of across the board, documentary, feature, and short. That's not to say that we don't have a whole bunch of men as well. It's pretty evenly split, but it's a little bit heavily weighted for women. I think as far as the classes are concerned, it's pretty even as well. I think though that we get a lot more interest from women who are interested in sort of broadening their scope of knowledge of how to do things. And we've also structured the class specifically so that it's not just about how to ask for money, which is something that women in general, I think, have a more difficult time doing. And so this is really changing the narrative around crowdfunding, which is really about asking people to come on a journey with you and learning how to tell your story, not just as a filmmaker, but for your career. So in that respect, we do get a lot of interest from women and men as well.
Cool. And we have about 3 minutes to go. I'm just gonna, Max, how is, you launched. You launched.
Yeah, finally.
How is that going?
Good, awesome. If you actually call the customer service number, it goes directly to my phone.
Okay.
So it's gonna be crazy. But
That's really fun.
Yeah.
Like the first couple months.
yeah, exactly. For the first month, so it's like, oh my god. I accidentally canceled my AT&T phone service to set that up for 5 days, but it's working now.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's exciting. It's exciting to be working on something for so long, and I think a lot of the process, both with either creating an app or a film or any kind of content, is the iteration that happens when you finally share it with people. And I think that that's really what we're excited about now. And getting that feedback and kind of incorporating that into our development cycles as we move forward is always, I think that's always the most exciting part about it, because people always respond a little bit differently than you expect. And I think that that's what kind of keeps it dynamic and keeps it alive. So it's going to be fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
We can go to the Apple Store and download it this Friday.
Yep,
And
Film
it's
Bot, yeah.
called Film Bot. That's awesome.
Okay. We have about a minute to go, but 1 minute to go. But Vivian, I wanted to know, are there any more opportunities for people to apply for the program, or are you guys already fully booked this year?
Well, we have rolling application deadlines, so people can go to www.developingfilmmakers.org and check out where you can find a place. And I also want to add that we also support you as a filmmaker as well.
Okay.
So that's a really important part, twofold.
Great. Well, guys, looks like our time is up, but don't worry, you can join our guests at this year's Bushwick Film Festival on October 2nd to 5th. Visit our website, bushwickfilmfestival.com, for our full program. Thanks again for joining us. We're going to close out with a short promo from Filmmakers Without Borders. See you at the fest.
Filmmakers Without Borders is a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to empowering youth voice through digital media and digital storytelling in the developing world.
Filmmakers Without Borders empowers youth by allowing them the resources to develop their own films.
It teaches people how to work together, how to collaborate,
to explore an art form that they may have never been exposed to,
how to work in the community, how to problem solve,
and to really share their ideas with a much larger audience.
Filmmakers Without Borders sends teaching artists abroad for 1 year to teach filmmaking in developing countries. We provide them with the equipment, we set them up with schools in underserved communities, and they teach media literacy and storytelling to students.
In our program, students will learn all the technical aspects of digital storytelling. They will learn pre-production skills, production skills, post-production skills, so including operating cameras and equipment, the nuances of narrative storytelling, documentary storytelling. They'll be learning leadership and communication and collaboration, and all at the same time they'll be improving their English. We're incredibly interested in hearing from voices that aren't always at the table.
If you're a young person in Bhutan, or a young person in Honduras, or Sierra Leone, or Kenya, or Nepal,
everyone deserves a voice, everyone has a talent, and everybody deserves the chance to shine.
These filmmakers have the ability to travel to this location, stay there, immerse themselves within the culture for a year or so.
To make sure that we are constantly informed by their cultural practices, by their traditions,
so they can empower communities to tell their own stories. As artists, teachers, storytellers, this has been a dream of ours for a long time. but we can't make it happen without support from people like you.
Spread the word. Tell friends, tell family. Every little bit counts.
We really need you to come through and be a part of our growing community.
Through video reflections and blog posts and photos, you'll be kept up to date on what your volunteer is up to.
Whether you donate a little or whether you're capable of donating more than a little, every little bit is appreciated and will help us take one step further on this path of reaching out across the world to empower youth voice. Thank you.